Kök Tengri struck the earth with a bolt of purest celestial blue. The foundations of the Altai Mountains trembled under his divine wrath. Yet this destruction was not an ending, but a hidden beginning. In the smoking ruins of a slaughtered tribe, only a broken child remained to witness the dawn. This is the world of the ancient steppe, where the line between beast and god is thinner than a horsehair. The eternal blue sky, whom the ancestors called Kök Tengri, watched as the last embers of a great nation flickered in the cold wind of Western Siberia. A boy, barely 10 years of age, lay bleeding amongst the tall grass, his limbs severed and his kin cold in the dirt. To the marauders who left him there, he was a ghost, a remnant of a forgotten lineage. But the spirits of the earth and sky were not finished with the boy. Tengri dispatched a creature of starlight and shadow to descend from the jagged peaks. She was Asena, the Gokturk, a she-wolf with fur the color of a winter sky and eyes that held the wisdom of 1,000 winters. She did not come to scavenge. She came to reclaim. Within a hidden cave deep in the Altai, the great mother wolf nursed the child, sharing her own life force to mend his shattered spirit and broken body. This was the birth of the Ashina, the wolf line. As the boy grew into a man under the wolf's gaze, they shared a bond that transcended the natural world. From their union, 10 sons were born, half human, half wolf, who carried the fierce blood of the predator. These sons would go on to forge the great Gokturk Khaganate, carrying the golden wolf head banner across the vast grasslands of Central Asia. Every Khan who sat upon the throne knew that his power flowed from that primordial cave, and the celestial beast who saw a future for a people. This was no mere animal of the forest, but a manifestation of divine will, a reminder that the strongest empires are born in the shadow of the wolf's howl. Even the gods themselves paused to watch as the silver-maned mother groomed the future of a civilization. High above the jagged, snow-crowned peaks of the Altai Mountains, where the air grows thin and the wind carries the whispered decrees of Kök Tengri, the veil between our world and the heavens, it is here, across the endless sea of the emerald steppe, that the Tulpar reigns supreme. To a passing traveler, a Tulpar might appear as nothing more than a stallion of exceptional grace, shoulders as broad as a mountain pass, and eyes that burn with the fierce cold fire of the morning star. But do not be deceived by the physical form, for these are no mere beasts of burden to be broken by a common saddle. A Tulpar is a child of the celestial gale, born from the very breath of the heights and gifted with wings that remain invisible to the worldly, uninitiated eye. For a legendary hero like Manus, his faithful Akula was far more than a mount. He was a brother in soul, a silent confidant who understood the weight of a Khagan's destiny. The ancient songs tell us that these mystical wings are a secret. There is a profound tragedy woven into this bond. Should a mortal eye, clouded by greed or idle curiosity, ever catch a sudden glimpse of those shimmering hidden pinions, the magic shatters instantly. The horse either falls dead upon the dust or loses its gift of flight forever. This is the ancient lesson of the steppe, that some wonders are meant to be felt with the spirit, never captured or domesticated by the gaze. Yet the Tulpar, casting a shadow so vast it can swallow a whole caravan in an instant, is Semruk Burkut, the mighty double-headed eagle. He is the eternal sentinel of the cosmos, perched with iron talons upon the highest silver-leafed branches of the Ulukayan, the great world tree that anchors the shifting universe. With one head, he watches the setting sun of the past, guarding the memory of the ancestors. With the other, he surveys the dawning light of the future, watching for the threats that have not yet been born. His feathers are said to be as hard as the finest forged iron, and his cry is the very thunder that rumbles across the Kyrgyz plains before a cleansing rain. He stands as the fierce guardian of the gates to Utsmag, the celestial realm, ensuring that only the courageous and the pure may ascend to the 16th floor of the sky where the benevolent Yilbegän resides in light. When Semruk Berkut beats his great wings, the very sap of the Ulukayan stirs, sending rhythmic ripples of life force down from the heavens, through the middle world of men, and deep into the dark, tangled roots of the earth. To the nomadic peoples, the horse and the eagle are the two halves of a single, soaring truth. One carries your body across the physical horizon of the earth, while the other watches over your eternal spirit as it journeys back toward the embrace of the eternal blue sky. The light of the eternal blue sky does not reach the iron gates of Tepegöz, where the sun is but a memory and the air tastes of sulfur and ancient grief. Here reigns Erlik Khan, the firstborn of the primeval deity Karahan, a spirit of such immense pride that he sought to craft a world of his own, only to be cast into the lightless depths of the 9th floor of the underworld. He does not walk. He rides a massive black bull, his face a mask of coal and silver, his breath the very frost that kills the spring bud. Erlik is no mere devil of fire. He is a god of the cold, hungry earth, watching from his throne of human bone as his children, the monsters of the deep, crawl toward the surface. "Why do you seek the sun, little bird?" Erlik's voice is the grinding of mountain stones in the ears of the lost. The earth is warmer, and the silence chief among these horrors is the Yilbegän, a nightmare of scales and gluttony. Imagine a dragon not of gold and fire, but of swamp mist and shadow, sprouting 7, 9, or even 12 heads, each one capable of swallowing a warrior whole. It is said that when the Yilbegän breathes, the very stars in the middle world flicker and dim, for the beast hungers for the light it can never possess. But the most shocking part, the forest is not safer, for even the trees harbor the reach of Erlik's spite. The Artura waits in the thicket, a shifting, hair-covered shape that does not kill with tooth or claw, but with laughter, tickling its victims until their hearts, and in the quiet of the nursery, where life is most fragile, the Albasti lingers, a pale, long-haired demon who feeds on the breath of the newborn and the strength of the mother. These are not just campfire tales. They are the manifestations of a world that was as dangerous as it was beautiful. The ancient Kham, those shamans who journeyed between worlds, knew that for every blessing of the sky, there was a debt to be paid to the dark. They would beat their drums and chant the secret names of the earth, for they understood a truth we often forget. The darkness does not. When Erlik Khan looks upward from his black throne, he does not see enemies. He sees his own lost inheritance, and his monsters are the reach of his longing. The Oghuz tribes once lived in the shadow of a nightmare that walked on 2 legs, a horror that the elders still mention in hushed tone. This was Tepegöz, the one-eyed, a mountain of flesh born from the forbidden union between a wandering shepherd and a shimmering wood nymph, a peri of the deep forests. He was a creature of singular focus and singular dread, for upon the very crown of his head sat a solitary, unblinking eye that burned with the cold, sickly fire of Tepegöz. His skin was as impenetrable as the iron forged in the celestial smithies of Kök Tengri, and his hunger knew no end. He demanded a daily tribute that bled the surrounding tribes dry. 2 young men to satisfy his belly. Even the bravest warriors, men who had stared down wolf packs and survived the bitterest Siberian winters, fell into a hollow silence when they say that when Tepegöz roared, the golden throne of Yilbegän in the 16th sky vibrated with a dissonant chord of fear, for this was a beast that defied the natural order of the 3 worlds. But where the steel of 1,000 Khans had failed, and the arrows of the most skilled horsemen had shattered like glass, Basat, a hero forged in the crucible of loss and raised by a wild lioness after being lost during a tribal raid, stepped forward to challenge the impossible. He did not come with an army, for he knew that numbers were but wheat to the sickle of such a giant. He came with the cunning of a predator and a heart steeled by the ancient laws of the steppe. He traveled to the high crags and entered the cavern of the beast, where the air was thick with the copper scent of old. As Tepegöz slept, his singular eye twitching in a dark dream of slaughter, Basat did not hesitate. He took a heavy spit of iron, heating it to a blinding white-hot glow in the coals of the monster's own hearth, and plunged it with all his might into that orb of terror. The scream that followed tore the silence of the Altai Mountains asunder, a sound so jagged, blinded, and howling in a frenzy of agony, the giant struck out at the shadows, his massive hands crushing boulders into dust. "Who are you that dares to steal the light from my head?" the monster roared, his voice sounding like two mountains grinding together. Basat, standing firm amidst the stench of death, replied with a voice like a wolf's growl, "I am the justice of the Oguz." In the chaotic darkness that followed, Basat outwitted the blinded giant, wrapping himself in the heavy, greasy skin of a ram to slip past the monster's grasping. It was not merely a victory of muscle, but the triumph of the human spirit over a primordial chaos that had once made the very gods look away in despair. Basat finally struck off the head of the tyrant with his own enchanted blade, proving to all who dwell beneath the eternal blue sky that even a nightmare can bleed if a man is brave enough to hold the light against the dark. The fires of the ancient camps have long since dimmed, and the thunder of 1,000 hooves no longer shakes the Altai soil as it once did in the days of the great Khagans. Yet, you must not be fooled into thinking these beasts have retreated into the silent dust of history or the ink of forgotten scrolls. To the people of the steppe, the spirits never truly left. They simply changed their shape to fit a world of glass and steel, waiting for those who look upon the gold-crested national emblem of Kazakhstan, and you will see the Tulpar staring back, its magnificent wings a reminder that the soul of a nation is born from the wild, unbridled spirit of the skyhorse. In the high, thin air of Kyrgyzstan, the voice of the Manasha still rises in a rhythmic, holy trance, chanting the epic of Manas, as if, when they speak of Akula, the legendary horse of the hero Manas, the listeners feel the ground tremble beneath them, for they know that loyalty is the only bridge that connects this middle world to the celestial heights of Utsmag. The beasts of the past have become the anchors of the present, serving as symbols of an identity that cannot be broken by time or tide. Organizations like UNESCO now preserve the tales of the Book of Dede Korkut as a sacred heritage of all humanity, ensuring that the bravery of Basat against the one-eyed Tepegöz continues to inspire those who face their own impossible odds. Even in the modern streets of Turkey, the image of the blue-maned wolf, Asena, remains a potent symbol of resilience and origin, a silent promise that no matter how close a people come to the brink, they can rise again, guided by a divine light. This is the eternal legacy of the Turkic soul, the understanding that we live in a delicate balance, suspended between the infinite blue sky of Tengri and the testing dark shadows of Erlik Khan. It is a cosmic struggle between light and darkness that mirrors the battles we fight within our own spirits every single day. We are all riders on an eternal steppe, looking for our own Tulpar to carry us through the storms of life toward a peace we have only seen in our oldest dreams. The ancient stories still speak to us. Subscribe to hear more. Tell us in the comments.
Yeah.